Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Today I am painting the dunes of Pensacola, Florida in the sunset, the shadows of the dunes on a piece of 140-pound arches. So this is a stock photo, which I've cropped, and I have traced the beach, the horizon line, and the dunes with water-soluble graphite tracing paper. So it looks like that. And this is the sample card I did yesterday with the purple shadows. And here's my photo from which I'm going to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is the sky. I'm going to wet the sky. So it's going to be wet into wet. I'm going to use my 3/4 inch brush to wet my sky. My board has a little bit of blue paint on it, so I just picked up a little of that. The sky is not the lightest thing in the painting. The lightest thing in the painting is the sand below the ocean. Well, the lightest thing is the wave. And then the next lightest thing is the sand below the wave. So the sky is actually a little darker than both those things. And what I'm going to do on my sky is I'm going to start with a little purple at the bottom, like a fog bank. And the purple that I'm going to paint is French ultramarine blue and permanent rose. It's going to be pretty pale. I'm just going to send this purple across the bottom. I want something else in that. I want it a little grayer. Maybe I'll just try a little bit. Oh, that's way too gray. I just added a Payne's gray to it. It grayed it way down. I'm going to try some burnt sienna. That's better. Just a little burnt sienna, if you don't, especially if you don't have Payne's gray. So it's a like I don't know, more like fog. Okay, I'm just going to put this across the bottom. It's going to seem dark, but it's going to soften. I'm going to have the same color up in this corner. And now I'm going to go to my blue. The blue that I'm going to use today is manganese. Manganese or cerulean or some of each. Either one is fine. They're very, very similar colors. And they're semi-opaque. So all the white areas now, I'm going to add this blue to it. So as I try to paint clear to my edges here.
And that again was manganese and what else?
Or cerulean.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And when I do a brush stroke in a sky, on a wet sky, I start on the edge and I make that brush stroke go across. And if I don't want to go all the way across, I lift up my hand gently. And I try not to go over things, at all. I try to put the paint down and leave it alone. That's the best way. And if I want to put a couple little, like, little scooches in, when I touch down ever so lightly, then push a little bit and then touch up ever so lightly again. So I'm not getting a big mark right where the brush goes down. If I push real hard, I'll get a big hard mark. So the best guys are always the ones where you just kind of leave them alone. If you want to have a little bit of puffiness at the top of some of these clouds, you can go in with water in your brush and make a watermark, or you can lift up with a dry brush. There's several ways to get some little puffy areas of clouds. Just adding water, just what I just did there. Or you can actually lift with a thirsty brush.
Quiet.
Get some little tops to your clouds that way. Or you can go in with a paper towel and lift. So all of those ways will make clouds, and we're trying to keep this sky soft in value. Just like that. I have a pretty heavy fog bank in mine, but we're used to that where we live. I don't know how foggy it gets in Pensacola. And now what I'm going to do is use this same purple color that I made for the fog bank to paint the dark part of the dunes. And the important thing on this is to leave the highlights in the right places. So I think I'm gonna, because I'm painting on an 8 sheet, I'm gonna just use my 3/4 inch brush again. It's the same color, it's purple, French ultramarine blue, and permanent rose with a little bit of burnt sienna in it. So I'm just gonna start down here and see what it looks like.
Would you move your paper up just a little bit so it'll show on the
You can see it? There
Yeah,
it
right.
is.
Thank you.
So I'm kind of just testing it out on this corner.
Mm-hmm.
The value looks looks pretty good. I think I'm going to put a little bit of cerulean into it. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Yeah, that little, oh, what's that color called with the hydrangeas? That bluish color. Can't think of the color, but that's what this is. So right here, I'm pointing to it with my brush. See that highlight on that dune? That's what we have to keep. Right there, we have to have a highlight. We have to have the white paper showing. Periwinkle.
Periwinkle blue.
Yeah, that's the color. It's kind of pink and it's purpley and bluey.
Dry on dry. Wet on dry.
Yeah, wet on dry, yep. And I can have a variation in the colors here. So one part's more purpley and one part's more pinky and one part's more bluey. It's okay. And then right here, where I'm pointing in with my brush, is another highlight on the dune. So I need to keep that paper white. That's too purpley. There we go. There's my periwinkle. And then I'm just gonna fill this bottom part in with water or with dilute paint, leaving those highlights. So I painted the bottom. I'm gonna sign it. Now's the perfect time to sign this. My bamboo signer. Sign it up at least 1/2 inch so that the matting won't hide the signature. Mary K.S. period Jolly. The C with a line around it. And I have another piece of this dune shadow to put in. I might go switch my brush now though. Go to my smaller brush. I love it with the manganese because it granulates so quickly. So it's over here. Hey, kitty.
Your kitty on your table?
Not yet. He's
Okay.
thinking about it. See what he brought me. Oh, I love these colors. I say that every time I paint. It's so true. There's a little light. So we just have to keep the light areas. That's what we have to do. Where the sand is in sunlight, we can't paint the shadows. So that's how easy it is. And sometimes there's a little bit of like the shadows are lighter. And that's because the parts of the shadows have the ambient light bouncing off them. So like this little sand dune right here is a little bit lighter. So the way that we make a lighter shadow is we just add water. And the purple color is not as dark. But I want that spot right there, really white. And then this part's not so white. This is all in shadow. There's some warmth in this shadow. So I added just a little bit of burnt sienna. And then this part right in here is going to be light. So I have really three. Well, I have this spot that's white. And this spot that's white. And then this spot that's white. This one here I kind of muffed up. That should have been a little softer right in here. Let's see if I can scrub it out. Nope, that's pretty much right there. It'll be okay though. Okay. So it looks like we have a mess, but we don't. So I just dried this line here so that I can put a piece of tape across it. This is just the cheapest masking tape I can buy. Because this paper has such nice sizing on it, I can use tape on it, Arches 40. And I'm going to put this on so I'm not covering up any white. And I'm gonna try and get this as straight as I can and not cover up any white. Because I don't want to have any white showing there. So there's a tiny bit of purple showing at the bottom of this tape. And I'm pressing it down with my fingernail. And this is the one reason and the only reason I never wear fingernail polish. Because I'm always pressing tape down on paintings. And if I have colors on fingernail polish on, it will make nail polish marks. And I loved it. I used to love to paint my nails. So now I'm going to paint this ocean in. It's just a, skinny little line of water. It's dark blue green. So I'm just going to make my favorite color, my favorite green, which is Antwerp blue and burnt sienna. And this can get that, I think I can get that ocean color green just almost perfect. Kind of there it is. I can add a little cerulean to it to make it tie in with everything. So I have cerulean in the sky and I have cerulean in the shadows. So I'm just going to paint, all of my brush marks are going to be horizontal. And I'm going to leave a little white wave there. So that I can just paint right over the tape. And this is kind of dry on dry, really. So there's not that much water in my paint. Yeah, I can see the difference in the tooth of the paper right now. The new Arches has a little bit different tooth. See, I just mixed up more paint. And I like doing that because now it's going to change those change it a little bit. And the ocean has always got changes in colors. Now I need to leave my little white caps in there. I just added a little water to my brush. It's really just kind of some white, little white streaks down here at the sand. Just leave some little white spots. So again, every single brush stroke is horizontal when I'm painting water. I left some little whites. And right below the white caps, and really even just slightly above them, if I just make a little bit darker color, a little darker greenish, a little darker blue, I can add a little French to this. And if I just put just a little bit in a couple little spots, it will really make it more look like the shadow underneath the wave.
What did you put on there, Mary Kay?
Little bit darker blue, or the same green, but just a little bit of blue into it, so it's a little darker. And it's just underneath the cap, the white cap. And it doesn't have to be solid across it, but it makes it feel like there's a shadow underneath. And a lot of times right on top of the white cap, the ocean is a little darker right behind it also. So you kind of put like a dark line both above it and below it. And then you can add this darker blue across to make it, yeah, just like that. I think I need that's a pretty big white spot there. So I'm just going to take a thirsty brush or just a kind of a dirty green brush and just sort of put just a few little smudges in this wave so it'll feel like the water's rolling. Just like that. There, I have a wave. And when I pull the tape off, hopefully I have a straight line. And I do. And because I put the green, bluish green paint over the purple, it made a slightly darker line right at the horizon, which often happens, especially if there's a fog bank. So I think that's a fairly, fairly realistic little inch of ocean or half inch of ocean. So the next step now is to get the sand in. And the sand is not pure white. It is almost white. And what I mixed together to get this color was raw sienna, a tiny bit of permanent rose, and some of the blue from the shadow, just to kind of gray that. And with a lot of water, I think that color right there is pretty close to the sand color. So I'm just going to paint my sand this color. I'm adding a little bit more pink permanent rose to this part right in here. It's going to lighten as it dries. So right now I squint at it, it looks kind of dark, but I think it's going to be good when we get it in there with all the weeds. And so then these areas that I left white in my purple shadows are that color too. I'm trying to work my water-soluble graphite so that those lines will disappear a little bit. Maybe I should just start using just regular old graphite. Then right here is that bit too. This is kind of like painting a white dog with blue and yellow. So we have the highlights on the sand dunes, the shadows of the sand dunes, and now all we're missing is our weeds. I'm going to start putting in my grasses now. I'm going to start with these dark green grasses over here. And I see some sort of reddish grasses, and I see some golden grasses. So there's like 3 colors of grasses. So I'm going to start with the dark green, which is my favorite green, Antwerp blue, and burnt sienna. Now it's brave time. It's time to be brave. I'm just going to try. So I'm going to be painting this set of grasses right in here first, and this here. And I'm just going to start at the top of this sand dune here. That's kind of just a solid mark. And now I'm going to use the belly of the brush. I'm just going to kind of lift. I'm holding my brush parallel to the paper, and I'm just lifting up. where I have these grasses that go right over the top of the pencil mark. There's a little bit right there, and then right here, I have some. And if I can just get that little lifty thing, I can paint, get a few little, like that. Just a little bit right there. This is a harsh line right here. I want a harsh line. Now that's all one color. So now I want to go back and change my color a little bit. I'm going to get some burnt sienna on my brush and go in and just add it into the paint I just painted and make some little brush marks up with that too. So I'm just really charging, really. And I'm trying to change the color a little bit. And with this pencil brush, it goes such a fine point that if I just take I'm just using 2 hairs, I can just add a few little grasses, different colors. Be careful that you don't pick a spot and make 3 lines come up from one hole. I'm going to do out here on the side how not to do it. So if I have like right here and I go 3 grasses right out of that spot, that is not good. You want to have skinny little grasses that come out of every little grass blade comes out of a different spot and has a different angle. And you don't need to make it solid, just a few here and a few there. Most of the grass is painted with the side of the brush. And you just add a few. I love how this comes down here to the shadow. Here, I've got a few of those. Just changing it up, some brown, some green, some little. So that's the little dune part there. I have a big purple splotch right in the center of this. So I'll just put a couple little sides of my brush and put a few little plants in there. That's that first part of that dune. Go back to just my burnt sienna. Right in here. I'm looking at this spot where I'm pointing with my pencil. And right in there is a lot of brown grasses, just burnt sienna. I'm liking how that's looking with the 2 different colors that I've used, the green that I made and adding the burnt sienna. And now I have, in my own painting, I have this light purpley spot right here that doesn't have any grasses on it. So I'm going to add grasses to it now and kind of cover it up. The one place I want to leave perfectly light though is that little bit of light that's shining at the top of that sand dune. So it's the same colors again now. And make a little more. Antwerp blue, burnt sienna, makes that green, that dark green that I love so much. So again, I'm going to start where the sun, I'm calling it where the sun is shining. So it's that little bit of light right there. I'm going to save that light. So I'm going to paint behind it. Not going to paint on it, behind it for now. I might put something over the top. And I'm going to put paint here on the edge of this paper so my eye doesn't go out that purple spot. I'm going to go back in with the burnt sienna. I'm not getting this to look exactly like this picture. I'm just suggesting that there's grasses over this. Again, leaving that white, light, sandy spot. I've got that one. Still, I've just used those two colors. The green that I love to make, and then burnt sienna. Next, I just have to pick a spot and start working it. I'm going to work that spot that I'm pointing to with my pencil brush. It's the top spot, and it's kind of, it's got a lot more yellow in it. It's kind of a goldy color. So that one's going to be mostly raw sienna. A little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of that green. I'm going to try it over here where the mat would cover it up and see if I like it. It's a little bit yellow, but I can add a lot of other colors to it. So again, I'm leaving this dune, the top of this dune, I'm not painting this dune at all. I'm painting behind it. And I'm using the side of my brush to make little flicks up. And it's not a solid line of flicks. I make some flicks and then I leave a little hole and then I make some other flicks. Then I take another color and go back in and add some darks. And sometimes my flicks don't work and I just either lift them up or try again. I'm going to put a little bit of dark brown, more dark brown on the bottom of this flicks here, because there's going to be shadow even in the bottom of the grasses. So we're getting there with that. Through here, I see some grasses. Now I'm back on the other side, over in here. Now, that's a dark green. I'm going to use a little bit of the flicking with the side of my brush. But I'm also going to make a little longer grasses. That's too thick, this brush, that did not work. Let's see. I need a skinnier brush. This is my rigger. I'm just making a green again. Let's see if I can get some nice grasses growing out of that. They're going to crisscross. No grass comes really out of the same hole. They go one way, they go the other way, they crisscross, they come down, they bend, they do all kinds of weird things. We don't need that. We don't need tons of them, just a few.
What color was that again, Mary Kay?
This green is my favorite of Antwerp blue and burnt sienna.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. Now where I'm going to work is this line right here. And those grasses go over all of that part. So now I'm going to be using my rigger brush. I'm making kind of a, well, just all those colors. So the Antwerp blue, or not the Antwerp, the raw sienna is kind of the base color with a little bit of the green. And I'm just, so it's going to be coming from where I'm pointing with my brush. There's a line here right above where the sun is shining on the lowest dune here. So I'm going to start all my grasses. From that line. I'm getting a lot of grass marks from this one loaded brush here. I'm going to be brave and I'm going to add some that go clear up into the sky, across the water and up into the sky. So I just have to be brave and do it. I'm going to use my arm and my hand, not tight like this, not resting my hand on the paper, but I'm just going to figure out where I want to put it, like practice a couple times, and then just do it up there. Like there's one that goes up into the sky. I'm going to put some little furry things hanging down from it. I'm going to put another one up, crisscrossing that. It's exactly the same height, so now I either have to make it taller or make it bend down or something. Or make this one guy, well, just, there we go, that'll work. Okay, these have little hairy things hanging off the top of them. I'm going to start with gold, and then I'm going to add darker browns in. It's just burnt sienna. So at the bottoms of those. So the very tops will be gold and be some darker browns. And then almost some really, really dark browns that I get from adding French ultramarine blue to that mixture to darken that brown, or Payne's gray or sepia. And those will be more at the bottom in the shadowing part. Yeah, I do see one that's coming from outside the page. I kind of like that. I'm going to give that a try. I'm going to go back to my raw sienna. It's coming from way over here. Actually coming up. I'm going to make it cross over my ocean, and here I go. Oh, that was a nice light. And then I put some darks in the grass heads. Got grass heads now, boy. Okay. Now I need some dark browns and green grasses coming out of the bottom here. A few of them always really crisscross a lot. They go the other way. And this is just like painting trees. You can't have a clump. You can't have them all exactly 1/8 of an inch apart. Painting these kind of grasses, you have to have some clumps, and then you leave a space, and then some other clumps. And you just keep adding them until you feel like you've got enough. And now I've gone to this, I'm even just using the belly of my rigger brush just to add some smudges at the bottom of that dune. There's a couple grasses that are growing out of the top of that dune, but most of them are coming from behind it. And I want some green too. So the green is my favorite green, Antwerp blue, and burnt sienna. I don't need a lot of these, but I do need some. Okay, so far so good. I just have a little bit more grassiness to do, and I need to dirty up the beach. So I'm going to add some dark grasses, because that's what I have loaded in my brush right now, to the far right, and a few more. Now I'm going to switch to my goldy color. Adding some of those. Here and there. Kind of planting them with the side of my brush. And I need to do some dirt up here in this beautiful sand. And it's kind of purpley green, maybe even, sort of purple, purpley brown. So just that same purple from the shadow grade. And then I just need to make some like footprints, or I don't know what that is. It looks like maybe it's a log, but we just need to, this big area right here where I'm drawing with my brush here, it's just too plain. You wouldn't have that much plain old perfect sand. There's always something. Little grasses or footprints, tree. So we just need to put some smudges in it. Those are all kind of perfect. I'm just going to get some water and make my smudges not so perfect. Smudge my smudges. If I don't like it, I paint with water. And then just like I smudged that sand way out there, I need to smudge this spot that I'm pointing to right now. It's where the light is at the top of this sand dune. So I need to make this feel like it's all one thing. And I'm going to do that with the same colors, the grayish, purpley color I just smudged the sand with up here. I'm going to start smudging this in here. To get those two to look like they're all one piece of sand, just going up into the light. Over here a little bit too, I think. And this part's pretty plain in here, right in here. Maybe I'll try a little bit here too, but I'm not. Yeah, I think I'm almost done. I'm just gonna add a little water. There, I think I'm done. I added another layer of the purple in these areas here to really make it look like it was more in shadow with the sun shining. And I'm noticing that my eye is going to this corner right here. So I want to put some grasses in right in here so that it stops my eye from going out. Not as tall as the ones I put over here, but just kind of want to cover up this little peephole out, this little pathway to get out of my painting. I don't want to have one there. So I'm just painting with the belly of my pencil brush. And then I'll use my rigger brush and just put a few taller grasses. Curving into the painting. Making up some of that green really fast. Antwerp and burnt sienna. And in my painting, I see that this spot where I'm pointing with my pencil is too light. And I don't want my eye to go there. I want that to disappear. So I need to darken that purple spot right here. So my eye doesn't go there as much. That helped. There, that's better. Now my eye is staying in the important part of the painting, back into the center. That is beautiful. Nice card. Your colors are gorgeous. The shape of your grasses. You left lights and shadows in both your ocean and your sand dunes. Did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Look at your colors. Your colors are so gorgeous. Beautiful.
Very
nice white caps. And you left light areas in your sand. You've got your shadow and your light areas. So it really looks like the sun is shining on that. And your sky's gorgeous. Got your little weeds. Really nice.
Wait a minute.
Lift it a little higher.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me put myself on and then I can see.
Okay. Oh, look at you.
Wow.
Beautiful. You look like you went to Hawaii because the
It looks
shadows.
like
The shadows are a little grayer, like they're lava beds. I like it.
Long waves.
Yeah, the waves are beautiful. And I love the color of your sand.
Hmm.
That's beautiful, Shar. Your contrast between your darks and your sand is beautiful. And I love
Wow.
how you fixed when you pulled the tape off and there were little
Yeah.
spots. You put that little row of hills. It's perfect because the dark places look like the sun is capturing there. And your sky is gorgeous. That you are a sky queen. Oh, look at your beautiful heads of weeds. And you've got more than one layer in your ocean.
Yeah, I got a couple there.
And your sky is a sunsetty sky. Beautiful. And who's the birthday?
My friend Kate.
Oh, that's beautiful. Your shadows in your sand dunes are gorgeous. I love the variety of the lavenders. And your weeds coming up are so nicely done.
Yeah.
And your ocean really feels like it's just the right amount of waves coming in. You really feel like that's a lot of waves crashing in. Your sky is beautiful. Nice, really nicely done. Well, thank you for joining us on YouTube. This is my last Zoom class that I will be doing in this manner. I hope to resume classes at the Senior Center. I am resuming classes at the Senior Center, and I hope I can use my iPhone to get a sample lesson so that you can watch it on YouTube. So thank you. Thanks for joining me on this adventure of Zooming during a 100-year pandemic.